Welcome to Nasdaq Trade Talks. I'm Jill Malandrino, global markets reporter at Nasdaq. Joining us for this segment, we have John Phillips, co-founder of Predictit, the stock market for politics, and we have a whole range of topics to discuss this week. John, it's great to see you as always. Welcome back to Trade Talks.
Hey, Jill, good to be back.
All right, and one thing that stock traders are always concerned about is what's going on with the Fed. What are Predictit traders taking a look at?
Well, it's interesting. Raskin wasn't supposed to be such a controversial pick, but it turns out she has become one, in large part because of her the belief by especially oil and gas industry that Raskin is going to make it difficult for them to obtain financing because of her conviction that climate should be factored into banking decisions. So that's the backstory on what's going on. The real question really becomes, is she gonna be confirmed? Predicted traders think by 84% odds that she will be. That strikes me as somewhat high because if it's a narrow vote, you've got to get majority of the Senate to confirm. There's one member of the Senate who is out on a medical issue, so it's 84% odds seems high to me. But Bostic is the next closest is only at 6% odds. So Predictit traders think she's going to be confirmed.
Right, and then one thing that's top of mind for all of us Americans for sure is the Electoral Count Act that a bipartisan group is taking a look at to avoid another January 6th that we just saw only about a year ago.
Right, so a lot going on with respect to electoral. The act itself, which is to revise what happens at the very end game of the process. And there's a bipartisan group of senators that are coming together. It was a half dozen. Now it looks like it may be as many as 20. I don't know if you saw the Sunday talk shows, but they had Murkowski from Alaska, the Republican, and Manchin, the Democrat, of course, from West Virginia, who it was a love fest. But they were both signaling that they were going to support this. And they, as part of a working group, but they also said that they had an increasing number of senators on both sides of the aisle who were going to support it. So it's interesting. It's only 50-50 odds, really 47% odds it's going to pass according to Predictit traders. So, we'll have to see about that. But, there's the sentiment is that it's going to pass. It's just Predictit traders are still giving it slight odds.
All right, moving along to Texas, never a dull state when it comes to politics, that's for sure.
Sure. Okay, so this is great. This is the 28th Congressional House primary on the Democratic side. And it's really a rematch of what was a grudge fest. And what you've got again in Texas, as Jill, you and I have talked about in other states, is the progressive wing of the Democratic Party trying to knock off someone who is more centrist. The centrist is Cuellar, or at least with respect to his opponent, his primary opponent, Jessica Cisneros. So this race is, as these moderate versus progressive fights shape up in the Democratic Party, this race is attracting a lot of attention, a lot of money, and a lot of endorsements, including AOC and AIPAC and others who are getting into this fight. It's interesting that Predictit traders think by 65% odds that Cisneros is going to knock off Cuellar. Cuellar's at 37% odds. There's another candidate at 2% odds. But Predictit traders, Jill, are saying that this is going to be an upset and Cisneros is going to win. 65% odds of that happening.
All right, moving along to Andrew Cuomo, potentially throwing his hat in the ring for Attorney General. Without even looking at the chart here, I would imagine that Predictit traders don't think his odds are too high.
No, they don't. And it's, Cuomo is not necessarily going to run for Attorney General. If he did, he was Attorney General at one time before he became governor. He says he wants to focus on clearing his family name. He says he hasn't given a lot of thought. There was a photo taken not far from where I sit of him wearing a beard. That's, I think, come off, and he's gotten a haircut. He says he's not seriously thinking about running. Do you believe that? I don't know, but Predictit traders think that James is going to win. the Democratic nomination for Attorney General. Now, James is the AG who really spearheaded the prosecution of Cuomo. And there is no fondness by either Cuomo or James for one another. This is going to be a grudge match. Cuomo has about $16 million in the bank from his aborted gubernatorial run. James is the incumbent attorney general. We're going to have to see what happens in New York. I know a lot of people who would like to see Cuomo back in the governor's office. This one's about attorney general, but we'll see.
All right, John, appreciate the insight as always. Thanks for joining us on Trade Talks. I'm Jill Malandrino, Global Markets Reporter at Nasdaq.
Thanks very much, Jill.